Hello, CISD families. My name is Dr. Dina Dinas. I'm the Executive Director of Teaching and Learning, and it is my privilege to welcome you to the Gifted and Talented Curriculum Night for the 21-22 school year. Once again, we find ourselves serving learners at the beginning of the 2021-2022 school year that are attending both face-to-face and virtually. So we have created this virtual curriculum night opportunity for you in order to meet everyone's needs. The CISD GT specialists are some of the most committed, exciting, innovative educators in the school district, and it is our pleasure to serve your learners. As we go through this presentation, if you have any questions, you can see the tiny URL that is in the center green box. That will take you to a Google form where you can submit your questions. We will answer them on a frequently asked question document and send that out to all parents on the week of October 1st. In Coppell ISD, we ground all of our decisions regarding the education of gifted and talented learners in the state plan for the education of gifted and talented students. That plan was revised in the spring of 2019, and Coppell ISD began implementing that plan in the fall of 2019. It still is the foundation for our service design. The other important document that is almost done now that we have made the necessary adjustments given the environments that our learners are being served in is our CISD Gifted and Talented Services Administrative Guidelines. Those will be posted by mid-October on the CISD website, and it has the necessary changes regarding our identification and assessment process for this school year, as well as information about the funding of GT services and other programmatic changes that we've made for this year. One thing that we all can celebrate is that in the legislative session that recently came to a close in the spring of 2021, the allotment for GT learners was added back to the state budget. And while our district far exceeds what we are given from the state to provide services for GT learners, we are grateful for the money that we are receiving. It helps us continue to do the exceptional job that we expect of ourselves. Our CISD Elementary GT team would like to thank you for your ongoing support as we continue to navigate these really uncertain times. They're full of new challenges, but also amazing opportunities for us to think out of the box and serve our GT learners in the best way we can. If you are a returning parent, you certainly recognize this graphic. When we talk about our services for our GT learners, we're really talking about serving them in 3 different environments. The classroom where differentiation is taking place because the specialist has worked to completely design with the classroom educator, learning specific for GT students, and our push-in and pull-out supports that can take place as learners need them. The most important part of this graphic is that red arrow. Our service design is based on the changing needs of our learners. They may need something different from one day to the next in one content area to the next, and our model is built to support them in a very flexible way. If you'd like to know more about that, we've included the link at the bottom where you can read a little bit more about our service design model. Classroom instruction is really the built-in co-planned extensions available to any learner who pre-assesses out of some part of the content or who is able to show mastery along the way. We want to make sure that everybody's learning something new today, and so that instruction is built into our service model. This is different work that learners are given. It's respectful work, but it should never be more work. Nobody ever signs up for more work. And in this model, it almost always is self-guided. When we think about classroom differentiation, this is where a replacement activity may be required or there may be a small group that is having instruction from either the educator or from the GT specialist. Differentiation should apply concepts of depth and complexity. Depth means going deeper into whatever the standard is that's being covered in the curriculum, and complexity means making connections across content areas or connections inside the primary content area. Push in and pull out are for small group instruction that often goes beyond the curriculum and the standards provided in the general education classroom. This is where the GT specialist may push in to facilitate learning experiences, or they may pull learners out for small group instruction. This also includes support for the specific social emotional needs of our GT learners. Every cloud has a silver lining, and for us, one of the things that we have had the opportunity to do during the current pandemic situation is provide some of our paper-based extensions in a digital format for our gifted and talented learners. And so we've utilized Schoology and really built out a great many of our curriculum extensions that we can release to our learners on demand as necessary. So it's just one more opportunity for us to serve them. Whether our GT specialist is in the classroom physically or not, we can release to them through Schoology some of these extensions. So again, our service model for academic extensions is really based on the needs of our learners, and it runs through this continuum. The benefit that we have of being able to release some of the extensions to learners is that we can do it on demand through Schoology. We have this continuum of supports that is modified based on the changing needs of our learners, and it's in support of our professional learning community philosophy, which essentially is, what is it that we want our learners to know and be able to do? How are we going to know if they know it or if they've learned it? In other words, what assessment are we going to provide? And then what are we going to do once we know that they know it? And so these are the ways that we can extend academically for our GT learners. Not all extensions will take place through Schoology, but parents and guardians, if you should see your learners working through their core classroom courses or assignments in Schoology, you might also see that there are extensions available for learners some of the time. Again, because many of our learners are back face-to-face this year, some of this extension is happening in those other environments that we talked about, but we're still utilizing Schoology and excited to still have that tool available as we work to meet the needs of all of our learners across all of the learning environments. Another part of our service design are the enrichments that we provide for learners. These enrichments, as the name implies, are extra or supplemental to the classroom instruction, and they're designed to address the different interests of our GT learners. So HOE is hands-on equations, which is an algebra-based opportunity for learners. Your child's campus may have robotics or a Model UN, Math Olympiad, Rubik's Cubes clubs, Genius Hour, creative writing, or the Texas Performance Standards projects. And this is just a smattering of opportunities that are available. Campuses do customize them based on the needs of the learners on their campus. Most of these enrichments are available for our GT identified learners as well as other learners. The activities will be coming in the next months as everyone really settles into the new school year. Enrichments, as I said before, are offered by the GTI specialists at each campus, and they vary based on the interests and needs of the learners on the campuses. So there is no prescribed number or type of enrichment that's available at every campus. One of the things that we know about all of our learners, but certainly our GT learners, is that they require some specific social emotional support. There are some nature and needs, if you will, of gifted learners that need to be addressed. And over the last year or so, our specialists have designed a scope and sequence or some topics that we will be focusing on at each grade level. You can see what those are here. And the big idea is the middle bubble, and then some of the specifics in support of that idea are at the bottom, and the big bubbles at the bottom. We recognize that as our learners are developing cognitively, emotionally, they may be ahead of their peers, or they may be a little behind their cognitive abilities. And so providing some social emotional support, helping them verbalize their feelings and build on their talents is our intention. Parenting is hard. Parenting in a pandemic is certainly harder. And so we've provided some additional resources for moms and dads and guardians that help address the social emotional needs of our GT learners, as well as providing some other resources for parents. The state plan for the education of gifted and talented students calls for reassessment only once during elementary school if a learner is already identified GT. That's been a practice in CISD for many years. Historically, we have utilized that reassessment opportunity at fifth grade so that we can assist our learners and their families in making the course selections for middle school. This year, due to COVID-19, the extended virtual instruction during 2021 and the assessment parameters from TEA, you will notice and may hear from friends and neighbors that CISD is going to be assessing more grade levels during the 21-22 school year than is our normal practice. However, for our learners that are already identified gifted and talented, the only time you should see reassessment would be in that fifth grade year. New this year, the CISD GT specialists will be offering monthly parent education sessions as a support for our GT families. Topics will include things like our service model, K-12, not just the elementary model that you see in our curriculum nights, redefining giftedness, 101 success strategies for gifted learners, working with perfectionism, social and emotional support for GT learners, and more. Sessions are going to be held via Zoom, and translation services will be provided if that is necessary for any of our families. The first session is going to be on Thursday, September 30th, so please be watching for more information from your campus GTI specialist next week. Here's the contact information for our teams. Please reach out to your campus specialist or myself should you have any questions or concerns. And here's the other half of our team. And again, if you have any questions or comments, please use this tiny URL to submit your questions. We will answer them as they come in, create a frequently asked questions document, and email that out to families the week of October 1st. Thank you for your time and attention, and it is a great privilege to serve your learners in Coppell ISD.